We have already covered Yu-Gi-Oh! Season 0, 1 and 6, so let's get into Season 2 with another 48 episodes. This round it's all about the Battle City tournament right up to nearly the final. But first, a little giveaway. As the prize there is Yugi's deck completely with all 3 God cards in the anime for kids style. To participate, just drop a hashtag Yu-Gi-Oh! Down in the comments, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. The giveaway will end in 2 weeks. I wish everyone good luck and now have fun with Season 2. New season, new day, another walk to school with Tia. But first we hand over the Millennium Puzzle to the super legend fortune teller on the street. What's he gonna do? Snatch it and make a run for it? Yeah, well, that happened. But props to the guy, he left a breadcrumb trail. So here's Yugi, and not even 1,50 m and not even 40 kilo guy chasing after this big dude who's over 1,90 m and 85 kilo. Tia tries to follow but gets sidetracked by Yami Bakura. Now she has to run backwards. Yugi finally catches up and meets someone controlled by Marek who's after the Millennium Puzzle. The discussion between them is solid as well. I'm not dueling for my own puzzle since it's mine. Yeah, but I stole it, so it's mine now. Alright, game on! So, let it rip. After just 3 summoned machine monsters, Yugi instantly knew it was Bandit Keith. He tries to scare Keith with his Dragon Champion, but Keith switches monster in defense, powers it up and takes down the dragon. Now there's Makumis to naturally rust the machines, and he uses Summon Skull to destroy it, even though they've got the same attack points. Keith even loses life points. And so he cheats as well by summoning Sera. Yugi's on defense while Keith keeps pulling tricks. But cheating's not gonna get you far against Yugi. So much for that big bad Sera. Bakura messes with Keith and Marek's communication, who now loses it and wants to destroy the puzzle. Like, if I can't have the puzzle, no one can. But Bakura goes full Tarzan, knocks Keith aside and hands the pieces back to Yugi. He even slips a bit of his Yami soul into one, so he's always linked to it. Keith still losing it, swinging a pipe around like a madman. He hits some machinery, sparks fly, and boom! There's conveniently placed gas cans that blow up. Just as the place turns into a firestorm, Joey and Tristan show up. Yugi just put the last piece of puzzle in it. They grab the deck and save Yugi in the last second. Ishizu arrives in Domino City and invites Kaiba to an exhibition. She calls him especially for this, but at the same time she's on TV. But what she's saying on the phone isn't what's on live TV, and vice versa. That not only convinced me, but it also convinced Kaiba, so he meets up with her. Once there, she immediately tells him all about ancient Egypt. Cause even back then, there were some pretty intense duels during school breaks. And the pharaoh didn't just participate, he was the king of it. Imagine if Merkel just schooled you at a game. That would be pretty embarrassing. And coincidentally, the pharaoh looks like Yugi with the Dark Magician, who fights against Kaiba with the Blue Eyes White Dragon. Even after Ishizu made Kaiba tripping in the past, he still didn't believe it and wanted to leave. Only after the God cards were mentioned was he interested again. He's supposed to start the tournament hoping to acquire 2 more God cards that were stolen from Ishizu, and so he even receives Obelisk as a gift. Yugi wants to learn a bit more about the history of the Millennium Puzzle with Tia. But first, some shopping. In an arcade, Tia takes down a guy named Johnny, who still loses even when he tries to disrupt her game. Actually, no surprise he screwed up, considering he had to keep walking over to mess with her for a few seconds. Anyway, he won't let that slide and wants a rematch. But this time in Duel Monsters against Yugi. It gets even better when Johnny has absolutely no idea what he's doing and takes a hard loss. Then he realizes he's dueling the Yugi from Duelist Kingdom, wants to run away but gets the deal with a talk no jutsu from Tia instead, so he just walks away instead of running. In the evening, the two arrive at the museum, which is probably already closed. Or is it? Museums usually close pretty early. At the museum, they spot this ancient tablet showing the pharaoh and Kaiba. Ishizu joins them, going full doomsday, saying that the world will end if the pharaoh doesn't save it. End of story. Meanwhile, Kaiba wants to test Obelisk. So first, a duel against Plankton's wife Karen. She quickly summons the first Blue Eyes White Dragon, then the other two, and fuses them into the Ultimate Dragon. The monster even Yugi couldn't beat. At least that's what he said. Kaiba must have some kind of amnesia or something, because he only won that duel by playing the "I'll jump off a cliff" card. But if he takes down the Ultimate Dragon with Obelisk, he thinks he's the GOAT over Yugi. So summon Obelisk, sacrifice 2 monsters, and to win automatically. In the city we meet May, where Kaiba's tournament is announced in a not at all exaggerated manner. All over TV, and of course they even bring out a helicopter just for Yugi. Kaiba does Kaiba things and doesn't include Joey in the participant list. Yugi's up there with a 5-star rating and Joey's a measly 1-star, so technically he shouldn't even be in the game. Fortunately, the trader is not only a rare hunter, but also a hacker and changes Joey's rating to 3 stars. In the evening, he wants to visit his sister in the hospital, but ends up facing his first duel against the rare hunters. Actually starts off solid, Joey's even getting the hang of the new rules, sacrifices 2 monsters for his red eyes. But then, boom! Exodia wipes the floor with him. Actually, he's fine after the duel, but then they go ahead and beat him up for no reason. And since Joey spent the night in an alley instead of visiting his sister, she now doesn't want to get the eye surgery. So the search begins. Tristan finds Joey and speeds past Yugi and Tia on his bike. At the hospital, they get Serenity out of her locked up room, which for some reason can be locked from the inside. Now with Yugi, they want to find these rare hunter clones and serve them some justice. Everyone is preparing for the tournament, except Tristan. He's trying to get Joey's sister. Yeah, he is the real king of games. Kaiba goes full extra and rents a damn Zeppelin to lay down the tournament rules, what's up with those puzzle cards, and the fact that the loser has to give their best card to the winner. But if they are just learning about this now, why did the rare hunters tell Joey yesterday that they were dueling by tournament rules? Who cares about the plot holes, right? We are just here for the epic showdowns, like Joey wanting some payback and Yugi stepping in for him. The holo images are set up. It's time to duel! YuGiMoto versus Rare Hunter. Pretty boss move to sign up for the tournament as a rare hunter. And here again, he uses the same tactic as against Joey. He's gunning for Exodia and playing defensively. Yugi's onto him fast, but even with a Potada fusion, he can't break through his defense. Not only does Rare Hunter already have 4 Exodia pieces in his hand, but he also has high-tech contacts that allow him to see the top card of his deck. So Yugi banishes a card from his hand for a few turns, sacrifices the Chimera, and cleans up a bit with the Emissary. But it doesn't do much, as the Swords of Revealing Light keep Yugi in check. All good though, cause Rare Hunter's stuck defending with an Exodia head, which Yugi promptly takes advantage of by destroying all the Exodia pieces with chain destruction. As a result, Exodia is defeated. Yugi blasts the swords with a dust tornado, revives the Chimera, destroys the head and lands a direct hit. Game over. First duel to Yugi. Yugi retrieves the red eyes, rips the Exodia cards and has a little chat with Marek. While he's absolutely going crazy. I mean, what the fuck is going on? And Joey's like, nah, keep the red eyes, bro. Rex Raptor lost to Esparoba, who can see into the future and always knows what card the opponent has in hand. So who's up for the challenge? You guessed it. Joey. Tristan and Serenity are all hyped to live track this duel. Too bad Joey seems to have forgotten the rules again and summons a monster that he actually needed to sacrifice something for. So first strike against our man Joey. Yugi discovers that Esper is actually just cheating, but instead of helping his friend, he just lets it happen because he thinks it will make Joey a better duelist. So is Yugi now the king of friends or what? Or do cheaters just stick together? Using the Angel Dice, Devil Dice combo, Joey lands the first hit on Esper. Mokuba steps in, ends the cheating, but keeps the duel rolling. That's some ref goals right there. Esper takes control of one of Joey's monsters and sacrifices it for Jinzo, rendering Joey's trap cards useless. Roba strengthens his Jinzo and Joey counters with Baby Dragon and Time Wizard. However, Jinzo doesn't get destroyed because its metal is super strong or something like that. So rip to the old dragon. Joey is hitting a low point until Tia and Grandpa Muto roll in to support him. Heart of the cards, Roulette Spider and Heart of the Casino. Jinzo attacks Esper and with that Joey wins the duel. Now his earpiece falls out and Joey realizes he's been cheating because it said so damn loud that Joey could hear it from that distance. His brothers are still proud of him and Joey gets Jinzo and the puzzle card. A participant tries to rip someone off but gets interrupted by Mokuba and Seto, who even offer him a briefcase to assemble a deck, only to duel against Kaiba. So let's go! Draw 4! Kaiba starts, summons Obelisk right away, and yeah, that's it. Marik finds out who holds Obelisk, but he already has 2 god cards himself and wants to focus on Yugi first. He lures him into a tent, some Harry Potter stuff happens, and Yugi is face to face with a Dark Magician and Arcana, who actually has 2 of those Dark Magician cousins. So it's Dark Magician against Dark Magician. But first bring out the kinky stuff, Soul Source, and now it's time to duel. Arcana has trimmed his Dark Magician to draw him directly, along with Ra. But no problem, Yugi has also Ra in his hand. Card destruction, let's start over. Almost. Yugi sacrifices his Magnet Warrior and takes control of Arcana's monster with Brain Control, summoning Dark Magician, who goes for Arcana directly. Tia and Grandpa are looking for Yugi, who's still caught in the duel and is also now facing the Dark Magician. Both even have 4 face down cards. Arcana is more on the offensive against Yugi's Magician and Yugi is more on the defense against Arcana's cards. And after all the fuss, both Magicians are still on the field, except now each only has 1 face down card left. Oh yeah, and of course Arcana has a very tragic past. He was a great magician himself, just not quite great enough because something went wrong in a gig. Or maybe he just wanted to become a mummy, who knows. Loses his wife not because he's a bad magician, but because he's a total douche. For some reason he then also walked around in the streets like a mummy, bumps into Marik, who apparently healed him, and promised to bring back his wife. Or no, rather, ex-wife. She's chilling behind the curtain during the whole duel. So, with this motivation, the duel goes on. Bind Yugi's Dark Magician to attack directly with his own Dark Magician. Then stuff gets crazy. Arcana activates Ectoplasmer, uses it twice in a row, but the ectoplasmation of his Dark Magician doesn't go through because Yugi's Dark Magician has become autonomous and neutralized this attack. Brilliant! Arcana wipes out Yugi's monsters, cancels out his spells and traps, and then rolls out his Dark Magician again, just for Yugi to somehow also use the effect of the Dark Cloak to bring in his Dark Magician girl. And thanks to the 2 Dark Magicians chilling in the graveyard, she's got the power up, which pretty much wraps up the duel. Yugi breaks free, saves Arcana at the very last second, so he can finally be reunited with his creepy doll. Then Yugi has a quick chit chat with Marik. Hey? Good talking to you. See you later. Mai's showing off her 4 puzzle cards to Joey and Yugi, which is kinda funny considering these are the 2 guys who outdueled her in Duelist Kingdom. But hey, everyone still needs more cards to hit the finals, so they each go their own way to find more duels. Joey gets a card snuck into his deck because he trusted a random guy on the streets with his cards. Didn't he learn anything from Yugi's Exodia drama? And of course it's Weevil pulling the strings again and even spraying down another guy with some weird stuff. In the duel against Joey they even bet 2 puzzle cards. Joey's new ace Jinzo shows up but gets nuked real quick. Not only that, the smuggled card in Joey's deck gets activated, turning all his monsters into insects, which then can't attack because Weevil activates the insect trap. He now even left his cocoon in attack mode just to flex. And speaking of flexing, Weevil summons the perfect moth a few turns later. The moment that moth shows up, Joe is like, not today, and just smacks it out of the game. But even here, everything was calculated. Get rid of some insects to get the enhanced Insect Queen. Unfortunately, he falls for one of Joey's baits. Doesn't matter, he dodges the worst of it. Although the livestream directly drops Weevil to 0. Gearfried is summoned, who remains untouched by the virus. The Insect Queen is now sprayed out of existence, leaving Weevil defenseless. Duel is over, Insect Queen and 2 puzzle cards go to Joey. Joey and his friends are secretly being hunted by Marik's hunters, as Marik himself can't do it since he's still sailing to Battle City on the SSN. Meanwhile, he's plotting his rematch against Yugi. This time he's not just controlling the puppet the entire time, time, but also he uses a god card. The duel between Krillin on crack and Yugi begins. Krillin goes straight for the fusion, but Yugi defuses immediately to destroy the two monsters. With Revival Jam, Jam Defender, Jam Breeding Machine and Steel Cage, Krillin gets himself some extra protection. Sacrificing the breeding machine brings Slifer onto the field to mess Yugi up. Yugi actually could have turned the tables if it weren't for the Revival Jam playing bodyguard. Meanwhile, Joey was looking to duel with Kaiba, but Kaiba jets off in a chopper to get to Slifer as fast as possible. Slifer also wastes no time trashing Yugi's Buster Blader. However, Slifer couldn't destroy Yugi's Dark Magician Girl due to its second effect, as Yugi hit her with magical heads. Yeah, doesn't really sound legit, but whatever. The same goes for deflecting Magic Cylinder with Revival Jam. Or Yugi surviving after his Dark Magician in attack position was destroyed by a Slifer with 9000 attack points. Yugi is having doubts big time until Kaiba arrives and lifts him up. The more cards Krillin has in his hand, the stronger Slifer becomes. That's why he's pulling cards like there's no tomorrow. But that's Slifer's Achilles heel right there. Time for an infinite loop play. Yugi revives Buster Blader to take a swing at Slifer, but Revival Jams got Slifer's back. Revival Jam springs back to life, giving Krillin another triple draw. So Yugi takes the jam, and thanks to Slifer's secondary effect, this little blob keeps getting wiped out and respawning, which forces Krillin into an endless draw cycle until he hits rock bottom. So now Yugi wins a puzzle card and Slifer. Perfect timing for Kaiba to get rejected. He wants to duel Yugi, who has to decline because Madik is using his friends as hostages. Laurel and Hardy are trying to block Yugi's path. But out of nowhere, Kaiba steps in and we got ourselves a tag team duel. And bro, it was absolutely insane. Kaiba activates Pot of Greed, Lord of Dragons and 2 Dragon Flutes to summon a trio of Blue Eyes and heal Sanryu in his first turn. Then it's the other's turn, but who cares? Kaiba drops Obelisk in round 2 and steamroasts these jokers despite Mirror Force. Bro's just an OG savage. Joey also wants his next duel, this time with Marco Tsunami, who just finished his show. Both bet 2 puzzle cards and the audience gets a second free show. It starts off kinda chill. What surprised me most was that Marco completely wasted Torrential Tribute. Bakuda and Madik meet in some gutter, where Madik is riding his motorcycle, and during a conversation they agree to join forces. Joey is playing it sneaky with his alligator, but Marco busts him out with Umi because he can't breathe underwater. Genius move. Joey weakens his opponent with Devil Dice, taking the lead. Baby Dragon and Alligator Sword fuse to summon the strongest monster ever! If only. With it he can at least attack Marco directly now. The first attack works, but the second time Marco is fully protected. Marco summons the legendary Fisherman, a card he got from his father who he lost as a child while fishing. Literally lost. His father disappeared in a tsunami and then for some reason didn't want to meet his son again, even though he knew exactly where he was. But as I said, he probably just didn't feel like it. Then Moby Dick is summoned onto the field, which can attack Joey without any protection. Joey uses the legendary Fisherman as a shield for the second attack, dries up the whale and removes Marco's protection with Giant Trunade, ending the duel. Joey walks away with 2 puzzle cards and a couple of ultra rare cards. The ritual monster is useless to him without the magic card though, but who cares, Joey got his ticket to the finals. Tristan's heading over to Serenity because she's about to have her eye bandages removed. Coincidentally, Malik shows up with the injured Bakuda to be taken by the friends. Grandpa takes Bakuda to the hospital, while Kaiba and Yugi just breeze past everyone like they were invisible or something, and Madik befriends Joey and Tia. However, the two are beaten up and kidnapped in broad daylight, just like Mokuba is also kidnapped while he's just chilling on a rooftop. Using them as leverage, Yugi and Kaiba go to a rooftop to have another tag team duel. But if you lose here, the glass beneath you breaks and you're sent to the Shadow Realm. Rules explained. The duel begins. While Laurel and Hardy work pretty well as a team, Kaiba wants to solo things again and yeah, we all know where this is headed. Because Kaiba is trying to be a lone wolf, he screws up so bad he would have lost if Yugi hadn't multiplied his Kuribo. Still, it's looking pretty tight for both of them. And even when Kaiba starts to focus a bit more on teamwork and Yugi strongly suggests activating card destruction because his hand would be better off in the graveyard, he first sets the card face down and only activates it when Laurel and Hardy could bring a much stronger card than the Blue Eyes White Dragon onto the field. But whatever, now the Blue Eyes White Dragon is in the graveyard and Kaiba can revive it from there. And thanks to Guilford's Beast in Yugi's graveyard, he can nerf the Masked Beast and let the Blue Eyes clean the field. Meanwhile, Tia and Mokuba try to escape. Mokuba makes it, while Tia just falls from seemingly 10 meters and just walks it off. Laurel and Hardy starts beefing, cause Blue Eyes is pretty strong, and Kaiba also talks them against each other. Like dragon, like player. Sure, they ain't the dream team they used to be, but they still hustle enough to drop the Masked Beast on the field. So, instead of booting Yugi out of the duel, Laurel goes for Kaiba's Blue Eyes. Yeah, Laurel is clearly the dumb one. Yugi fuses his Magnet Warriors into Valkyrion the Magnet Warrior and wrecks the Masked Beast. But plot twist, the enemy snatches Valkyrion. Yugi splits him back into 3, Kaiba activates Soul Exchange to sacrifice those 3 for Obelisk, taking Hardy down to 0 life points. So that's it for him. Time for a freefall. Except this little weasel got a parachute stashed in his coat. Now Madic's back in control of the second guy, just messing around and trolling. Both get a puzzle card, so they both make it to the finals, and with Mokuba, they want to go to Joey and Tia, who knows exactly where they are. Yugi and Kaiba are on their way to the harbor in a chopper, as we get hit with a flashback flood. Those episodes are always so much fun. Odeon has collected 12 puzzle cards on his own, and gives the manipulated Joey his pimped out deck, who is supposed to duel against Yugi next. When Yugi shows up, he quickly figures out Joey's being puppeteered by Madik and tries some talk no jutsu to get him out of it. Doesn't work. Tia shows up too, also under control, and Yugi doesn't even bother trying to free her. So now we get a duel between Yugi and Joey, where the two are chained together with an anchor, which will drown the loser of the duel. Or if 60 minutes pass, both will end up swimming. And if anyone interferes, Tia will get hit by a container, which would cause her more than just a headache. Yugi is also not allowed to use his Slifer, but adds the red eyes to his deck. So, go! Joey goes first and straight up nukes half of Yugi's life points, weaken his alligator sword and lose another 500 life points. These must be those OP spell cards Odeon was talking about. To free Joey from control, Yugi wants to switch places with Yami. Meanwhile, Tristan's doing his best to dodge the rare hunters, but ends up losing the chase game. No worries though, dice apparently are very effective against rare hunters, so Duke's timing is just perfect. So the chase is back on. To bring Joey back, Yugi wants to show him his red eyes. He's this close thanks to card exchange. While Madik wants to grab the red eyes, he can't manage it and draws another card. Yugi holds the pressure by summoning red eyes and blasting away his alligator. But even that barely tickles Joey's mind. Again, it's raining comets, leaving Yugi with only 1000 life points. Red Eyes takes a major hit, almost pulling Joey back to reality. Yugi now puts the cherry on top by placing his puzzle around Joey's neck. Madik doesn't like Yugi's mind games, so he takes a piece of the puzzle and wants to throw it into the ocean. But that only fuels Joey's fire, bringing him back to the point where he puts the piece back and wears it again. However, Madik is back in control for a while. Kinda. Because Joey pulls a rebel move and weakens himself. And wondering about that chase game, yeah, not looking good. Tristan confronts 3 pursuers while Duke and Serenity run into May. Tristan turns out to be a sore loser and just beats the 3 up. With May, they then join the others. Madik wants to play for time so that both take a dive, while Yugi keeps trying to reason with him, which only works to some extent. The others arrive, and since Duke is out of dice, he can't fend anyone off. Joey now draws the card that could end the duel, and that's why Madik wants him to activate it. But he is currently having one flashback after another, plays the card, and then is finally able to completely break free from Madik's control. Tick tock, Yugi's blocking hits as time's running low. Out of nowhere, Kaiba swoops in with a drone copter and a sick blue eyes card throw to save Tia. Now it's just the 2 bros dueling. Yugi now redirects the blocked attack back at himself, loses the duel and essentially throws himself to the sharks. Post-duel, Joey attacks himself with Yugi's red eyes, zeroing out 2. Instead now of hustling to save himself first and then Yugi, he fucked up and they both go for a swim. Underwater, Joey pulls a save on Yugi, but then needs to be saved himself. Thankfully, his sister got her eyesight back. and at first Joey blames himself, but forgives himself rather quickly. And thanks Kaiba, until next time! The puzzle cards hit the duel disc, setting the stage for the ultimate showdown. But Bakura also wants to be in the final, so he gets himself a duel disc and a puzzle card and goes graveyard hunting for a duelist. Coincidentally, Bones and his crew have exactly 5 localization cards. Winner takes it all, loser takes a one-way trip to the Shadow Realm. And as expected, Bones was hardly a challenge for Bakura. He didn't even have to bust out his big guns. If Bones would score 6 puzzle cards and made it to the finals, he would have been a freebie in the first round. Anyway, Bakura sending them on a Shadow Realm vacay, Bones buddies included. They didn't even duel, but hey, a little chaos keeps it spicy. Bakura has now 6 puzzle cards and is therefore in the final. Joey is showing some love to Mei for backing him up in Duelist Kingdom. Dude's about to seal the deal when he blows it because some movie poster grabs his eye. Out of the poster, a car drives out and the actor steps out wanting to win over Mei. He's tried it before, lost, then proposed and now wants to try again after winning a duel against Mei. A real Romeo over here. And if he wins, he's not just looking to put a ring on her, he also wants one of her puzzle cards to get his ticket to the finals. Ultimate big brain move. He plays with his ninjas, who are pretty much trash. Still gets Mei on the ropes though. But in the end, the duel goes to Mei. Romeo might have lost, but he flips to plan B and just kidnaps her. He messes that up too. Mei gets rescued by Joey, and off they go to the finals. Marik wants the puzzle and the 3 god cards to become the new pharaoh. For this, he would now pretend that Odeon is the real Marik and present himself as Mr. Nice Guy. As if that ain't gonna blow up after round 1. Our friends arrive, Marik follows as Namu, Bakura is also there, then Odeon comes as Marik and Ishizu as Ishizu. However, the finals doesn't take place in the stadium, as Zeppelin flies by to take the finalists to the right place. Up in the sky, Kaiba picks fights with everyone for no reason. Then everyone prepares for the finals except for Joey, who has an unplanned party. Moreover, Yugi also realizes that Bakura can't be Bakura, but must again be under the control of the Millennium Ring. And by the way, I'm living for the trash talk between Kaiba and Joey. For real. So at the buffet, that's where the action starts. They are drawing Wednesday's lottery numbers, which is how they decide it's gonna be Bakura versus Yugi for the first showdown. They go up to the Zeppelin's roof for the duel, then get lifted even higher so that no one can see what's happening. Yet, everyone still sees that Bakura is actually Yami Bakura. It's also very funny how innocently Marik acts as if he doesn't understand anything. But whatever, let's duel! Bakura starts throwing out weak monsters as bait just so he can stack his graveyard. 3 monsters in and Bakura is practically done for. Playing high risk here, but as I said, this was just a bait. He summons Dark Necrofear by banishing 3 monsters from his graveyard. Now we got this creepy bald chick on the field and Bakura is doubling down with Dark Sanctuary right after Yugi took out Dark Necrofear with his strengthened Dark Magician Girl. I have no idea why Yugi felt the need to destroy Dark Necrofear, but hey, it is what it is. Dark Sanctuary is a really strong card. In the anime though, straight up broken. You don't just lose half your monster's attack points in life points, but the one who owns Dark Sanctuary gets those points added to their life points. Then it gets even dirtier, because now the Destiny board has also been played. So the clock is ticking. The game is over in 4 turns max. But there's even more. Because now Dark Door also comes into play. Okay, Dark Sanctuary does have one catch in the anime. Bakura has to sacrifice one of his monsters every turn. However, he doesn't have to flip a coin, but Bakura can choose a monster where it will work 100%. Good thing Yugi's got a trap card up his sleeve. First, he sends the spirit into his Kuribo, then destroys his Kuribo, and thus also the spirit from Dark Sanctuary. Then Yugi brings Dark Necrofear back, completely destroying Dark Sanctuary. But now, Bakura has drawn another card that should turn everything around. But which one could it be? This supposedly incredible card is Jogen, with which he could destroy Dark Necrofear, which means Dark Sanctuary is back in the game. Yugi's last turn. If he doesn't win now, it's over. But with the heart of cards, he drops the god tier Slifer onto the field. He could end this duel like right now. But then Odeon comes over, acting like he can use the Millennium Rod to bring good guy Bakura back, which is why Yugi hesitates. But Yami Bakura doesn't find this amusing at all, because he still needs Bakura's body. So he switches back and takes the L like a man. Yugi moves on to the next round and Bakura goes to bed. But he no longer has the ring. Nobody really seems to care, because nobody suspects Tia, who is still controlled by Marik. The Zeppelin must land so that Bakura can be taken to the hospital. Kaiba says no. After all, he has a medical team on board who will take care of him. Tristan and Duke are so hard simping for Serenity that they almost died. Shadi appears, saves them and then leaves again, and they couldn't care less. Then he briefly drops by Yugi, talks a bit about the past concerning the god cards and the creation of duel monsters. Back in the day, Shadi was the one who showed Pegasus these god cards, probably the biggest mistake of his life. Pegasus and his team photographed the stone tablets to transform them into Duel Monsters cards. If it weren't for the fact that one after the other dies in accidents. Even the photographs and recordings are too powerful for the employees. Pegasus himself is shook by his own creations, so he passed them off to Ishizu. Shadi spooks Ishizu real quick, hangs with Tia for a minute, and pieces out for the rest of the season. The next duel is drawn. Joey against Odeon, aka they still think it's Marik. And here, the real Marik holds the real Millennium Rod behind his back the entire whole damn time during the duel. Smooth, dude. Real smooth. The duel starts, Joey without his red eyes and almost without his hand, which almost took off. While Odeon protects himself only with face down spells and traps, Joey is quickly provoked and walks straight into the first trap. He could at least counter the second one, drop some killer one-liners like a boss, but is still faced with 3 trap monsters. Joey's field gets wiped and his life points are almost reduced to 0. Good that Joey has his friends to boost him up. Ain't no way he's going down easy with them at his back. By the way, Odeon was abandoned as a baby. Joey then brings back his Jinzu with Grave Robber, destroying all the trap monsters at once. Man, if Joey had some regular monsters with over 1k attack, Odeon would be down after being attacked directly by his 3 monsters. Now Odeon can freeze him for 3 turns with his light swords. Not just that, but he also draws the fake Ra that Marik slipped into his deck. Joey gets all the monsters on the field that he won in the Battle City tournament. Nice. But Odeon isn't just standing there admiring the cards, he summons his mystical beast. Marik's giving Odeon some seriously twisted hope, saying that anyone who's played the fake Ra died. Yeah, very encouraging. But actually, Odeon doesn't even need that fake Ra. The mystical beast devours one of Joey's monsters after another, getting stronger and stronger. Quick flashback time! Odeon was almost the next Tomb Guardian, as his adoptive parents had no hope of having offsprings to inherit the rod and the chain. But shortly thereafter, Ishizu came along, and then Marik. Unlike Odeon, who was all for the ceremony, Marik didn't want it at all. Marik got some tattoos on his back, so Odeon cuffed some on his own face. Joey is left without spells and traps, and without monsters. All Odeon has to do now is attack him directly, which actually was his plan, except he gets interrupted because Marik insists he plays Ra, as Joey and some others are sure that Odeon is not the real Marik as he claims to be. To prove he's the real Marik, Odeon's pulling out the bootleg Ra card. His mystical beast is out and Ra's in the game. And even now, without having any cards left, Joey is still confident of winning. Okay, this guy must just have extremely good instincts, because the real Ra from Marik's deck is furious. Odeon gets struck by lightning, the fake rod is destroyed, and Joey is also hit by lightning. Now they just let them lay there, because they've each got 200 life points left, and whoever gets up first in the next 5 minutes is the winner. Bro, they got struck by lightning, they are dying there! But hey, the tournament must go on. Joey dreams about his school days with his friends, who help him get up. He then gets up and thus wins the duel. Marik's true identity is not only revealed, but he also completely loses it and the evil comes out of him. Odeon has to go to the sickbed, Joey is somehow fine. Mei asks Joey if she also helped him in his dream. He rejects her, which hits her pretty hard. The next duel is drawn. Mei against Marek. Although Marek has something better to do right now. He wants to send Odeon to the Shadow Realm. But right before he could do that, he hears his announcement that he has to duel and then decides to put it off for now. So, game on, next duel. Apparently, Mei hasn't quite understood the name Revival Gem. It revives. Mei still starts pretty well and hits hard, but Marek counters pretty quickly, takes the lead and makes it even more exciting by turning the duel into a shadow game. From now on, every time a monster from one is destroyed, a part of the thoughts about a person is extinguished. Since Mei destroyed her own monster, which was controlled by Marek, she loses her thoughts about Tia first. And it's not just forgetting. She can't even see her anymore. Marek also loses his first monster and forgets Krillin on crack, which obviously doesn't bother him at all. He brings his monster back strengthened, destroys Mei's monster, and she loses her memory of Joey. She used to be always alone until she met our friends at Duelist Kingdom. Lucky for her, Yugi's came by and reminds her that they are always there for her. Mei now sacrifices her monster to snatch Ra away from Marek. This already removes the greatest threat. Arcana is erased from Marek's thoughts. Mei summons 3 harpies, with which she could actually attack Marek directly to win the duel. Instead, she calls Ra, who's got to hatch first through a mystical inscription. The secret formula to summon Ra is actually printed on the card. Only it's written in ancient Egypt, which Mei unfortunately skipped at school. And as luck would have it, Marek knows the chant by heart and recites it aloud to take control of Ra, after he physically locked Mei's arms and legs with arms and legs bind. How is she supposed to do like that? Marek wants to end the duel and attacks directly with Ra, but Joey won't let that happen. He rushes over to her and tries to get her out of it. He tells her that she was in his dream too, so she remembers him again. And if Yugi hadn't jumped in, Ra's attack would have killed both of them. Marek wins, so off to the Shadow Realm with Mei. Her worst nightmare or something seems to be that she's hanging in an hourglass in the air while sand runs down and she can watch her friends having fun. Really evil. Mei's laid up in the hospital, but the duels don't stop. Up next, Kaiba vs Ishizu. Meanwhile, Mokuba is busy crack the code on Ra's card. They used a satellite to take a picture of the card in play and are now trying to analyze what it says. I have no idea why they didn't just wrote down what Marek was talking. The duel begins and Ishizu seems to see everything coming. She's like Pegasus, but even more intense. She's already seen how this whole thing plays out and knows Kaiba will lose. Using his crush card, Kaiba reduces Ishizu's deck to only the weakest monsters, and in the end he even draws Obelisk, which, according to Ishizu, will be his downfall. All of Ishizu's strong monsters are already in the graveyard, and with the virus cannon, now all the spell cards are going there too. Bro, what an OP card in the anime. Well, luckily Kaiba ain't have Jinzo, so she still got some trap cards. So now, all the cards do a graveyard to deck and deck to graveyard shuffle. For Kaiba as well, leaving him with just 6 cards in his deck. Another round of virus cannon, but it gets shut down this time. Ishizu baits Kaiba into playing his Obelisk, which is then immediately infected with the virus. If Kaiba attacks, he's done for. But then Marek's rod lights up, Kaiba gets hit with some ancient flashbacks and decides to trust his OG Blue Eyes. Direct attack, Kaiba wins. The future has changed. Mokuba doesn't even need to translate the card, Kaiba can simply read it himself without knowing the language at all. As a child, Marek made an unauthorized trip outside, which made his father somewhat angry. So he beat up Odeon, which brought out the dark side in Marek, who then killed his father with a Millennium Rod. Through Odeon's words and his closeness, Marek became somewhat normal again. So much for the past. Fast forward to now, Ishizu hands over Yugi her necklace. The good Marek within Tia brings the ring back to Bakura so he can join forces to drive out the evil Marek. So, on to the duel. Joey has a nightmare about Mei, just wanted to mention that. But the real action's going down between Bakura and Marek, who are dueling on the rooftop. That's, you guessed it, another shadow game. This time, losing life points means you literally start vanishing into thin air. Bakura sacrifices some life points to bring back 3 monsters from his graveyard, as Marek gets his Ra from his deck just to swipe it for himself with card exchange. Not too shabby, especially since good guy Marek can read the card's text. Well, if Kaiba can do it, then Yami Bakura should be able to do it as well. Ra can't attack because of the vengeful Box Spirit, but Marek also drains all the attack points from monsters that are supposed to be sacrificed for Ra and adds them to his life points, so he ends up with over 8,000 life points and Ra has none. Bakura didn't even know that Ra can do that, which makes it odd why he didn't sacrifice a 0 attack monster for it. Well, Ra gets sacrificed, 3 monsters from the graveyard are banished, and the Earl of Demise is summoned from the graveyard, giving Bakura a lot of power on the field. But he can't attack because of the Box Spirit. Tia and Yugi are looking for Bakura. They find the Mist of the Shadow game, and Kaiba is brainstorming on how to take down Ra. Speaking of, Marek summons Ra, goes all in, leaving himself just 1 life point, and with a lightning strike attack that he apparently just has, bypasses the Swarm Spirit to win the duel. Bakura makes an epic exit, saying that he is the darkness and will definitely return, which is true since he is also in a puzzle piece. Marek takes the ring, and good Marek tries to use Tia to get help from Ishizu. She has hidden Odeon, so Marek can't stab him while he is unconscious. Soon our finalists will reach their destination, but that's a story for the next season. Let's quickly get to a conclusion. We have 38 good episodes, 9 average ones, and 2 quite bad ones. All in all, a pretty amazing season.